Hey guys, Chris here. I had a couple questions about our gyroscope and just sort of the how to adjust it to get it to spin well. These gyroscopes come with some nice ball bearings in each of the screws in there, and the set screws themselves come with some Loctite applied, and that's mostly just to keep the screws from moving and coming out of adjustment when the gyroscope's running. So depending on how tight those screws are, really affects how well it spins. You want them not snug, you want them loose and maybe just a tiny bit of play in the rotor there. And when you spin it, it should spin, quite freely. If you snug them down, it's going to just put extra stress on those bearings, and they are very small. That the outer diameter of those bearings is only 1/4 inch, so they're quite tiny, and you don't want to put any undue stress on them. So I'm going to go ahead and spin this one, if I can get my frayed string through it. Let's see here. And the string is actually Kevlar. It's 100 pound. Rated at 100 pounds, and this one's old and is getting a little frayed, so it's a little difficult to get through. Just need to trim it up basically. Let me go ahead and wind this up. I'm going to go ahead and pull this, and then so when you hold it, it should stand up. You can see it precesses. That's gyroscopic precession. When you set it down, the frame will spin just a little bit. If you tighten these screws down more, the frame will start to spin quite fast, and that's too tight. It's got too much tension on those bearings. You want it so it's just a little, possibly just a little bit of rotation there, and that's about right. It should stay up fairly easily. You can kind of just play with those, and it's just a tiny little bit of adjustment. So just little tiny bit of adjustment on those screws at a time. And of course it's slowing down here. And then obviously, the tighter, if you have them too tight, it's also going to put more resistance, and it's not going to spin near as long. It's not going to spin near as well. So keep those adjustment screws fairly loose. If they're too loose, is better than too tight. It'll just prolong the longevity of the bearings that are in there and keep it running. But that's pretty much it. If you have any questions, just email us. You can get just through the contact on the website, but yeah, it's just, you just want a tiny amount of adjustment. They should come shipped adjusted fairly well, but you might need to play with it just a little bit to make sure it's working okay. So thanks, talk to you later.